Okay, hello everyone. So ngayon di-discuss natin is yung Module 4 about sa history. So we have two sketches here. First is about the sine and cosine, and the second is complex numbers. Okay, so di-discuss lang natin dito yung short history about sine and cosine and complex numbers, kung paano sila na-develop over time, and ano yung use or uses ng mga uh, concepts na ito, especially sa modern day. Okay, so let's start with sine and cosine. So yung sine function, way back pa ito no kay Hipparchus. So sa Greek siyang Greek astronomer. So mostly kasi dati ng mga mathematicians ay astronomers as well. So si Hipparchus and other astronomers, gusto nilang gumawa ng isang model na nagde-describe kung paano nagmo-move yung mga stars at saka planets. Okay? So yung dito sa figure natin, yung sky is represented as a gigantic sphere or celestial sphere. And yung position ng mga stars ay specified by angles. Okay? So, mahirap yung mag-work gamit ang angle. So, very useful na nire-relate siya sa isang line segment. Okay? So, yung segment na yun yung chord. Okay? So, dito makikita natin yung chord. So, ang isang chord ay isang line segment na nagko-connect ng dalawang points ng circle natin. Okay? So, next, dito meron tayong central angle. Tawagin natin siyang beta of some fixed radius. So, magde-determine siya ng isang chord. So, kung meron kang central angle, kung meron kang angle halimbawa dyan, yung angle na yun, magde-determine siya ng isang chord. Okay? So, gamit yung mga chords, naging possible para i-compute kung ano yung current and yung future positions ng mga stars and planets. Okay? So, it is generally believed that Hipparchus constructed a table of chords. Okay? So, meron tayong tinatawag na table of chords. So, na-develop niya tong table of chords. So, gumawa siya ng table na nagbibigay ng mga length ng chords depende dun sa mga different angles na given. So, for each angle, meron tayong corresponding na chord at meron siyang given na length. Okay? So, yung development natin ng sine function. So, after ni Hipparchus, nagsimula yung mga theory ng chords kay Ptolemy, Claudius Ptolemy, sa kanyang book na Almagest. So, yung first chapter ng book na yun is dedicated to proving theorems, basic theorems about chords, at kung paano sila nag-form ng mga spherical triangles. So, yung spherical triangles ay triangles made by great circles on the surface of a sphere. Okay? So, in-explain din niya kung paano mag-construct ng table of chords. Okay? Next na nangyaring improvement is sa India. So, meron naman tayong table ng half chords. Okay? So, meron tayong table of half chords. So, kung yung chord, very simple siya na way para i-associate yung isang line segment sa isang angle, ah, may mga situations mostly na gagamitin mo yung half chord. So, half, sabi dito, the sine is half the chord of twice the angle. Okay? So, para makuha natin yung sine nung isang angle, siya actually yung half nung chord. So, kung sa trigonometry, si sine ay yung y component natin dito. So, actually, totoo siya na yun yung sine natin, yung y component. So, half the chord of twice the angle. Okay? So, after nilang mag-tabulate ng chords, nakapag-tabulate sila ng half chords. Okay? So, makikita natin dito, yung half chords ay exactly the same ng yung alam natin na sine. Okay? So, meron lang siyang isang difference. So, we think of the sine as a ratio between the segment and the radius. Okay? So, di ba ang sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So, yun yung alam natin na computation ng sine. So, sa katuwa. Okay? So, yung half chord is a segment whose length is r sine alpha. Okay? So, radius times sine alpha. Okay? So, pag gumagamit ng half chords, syempre kailangan dapat alam mo yung radius ng isang circle. Okay? So, kung mas malaki yung pinagdi-deal mo na circle, mas mahaba yung radius mo. Okay? So, yung para makuha natin yung mga sine, mga half chords, kailangan natin alam yung radius ng circle natin. Okay? Next is, of course, after yung complement ng sine, which is cosine. So, si cosine is basically the complement of sine. So, baliktaran lang silang dalawa. So, makikita natin dito. So, kung ito yung sine alpha, ito yung cosine alpha. So, 90 minus alpha lang yung cosine. Okay, so si sine 90 minus alpha is equal to cosine alpha. Okay. So, kaya siya tinawag siguro na cosine according dun sa book is it's the sign of the complement. So, cosine, complement of sine. Okay. So, dati kasi usually sine yung ginagamit. So, nag-develop sila ngayon ng complement ng sine which is cosine. Okay. So, yung book ni Pitiscus, yung trigonometry or the measurement of triangles. So, dito may mga materials na ginagamit sa surveying, geography, and astronomy. So, mostly ng work sa astronomy, gumagamit ka ng mga concepts ng trigonometry, especially mga right triangles or mga circles. So, nagko-compute sila ng mga angles, mga distances between planets, distances between stars. Nape-predict din nila kung after ilang years, saan na yung star or nasaan na yung planet. Okay? So, very popular yung paggamit ng trigonometry noon pa. And especially nung 17th century. Ito na yung nagkaroon na ng algebra and trigonometry. So, basically si algebra and si trigonometry ay interrelated. So, ginagamit mo yung mga algebraic techniques para mag-solve ka ng mga geometric problems. Okay? Or gagamit ka ng mga trigonometric functions. Okay? So, and lastly, so ito yung tinatawag natin na sine curve. So, ito yung graph ng sine. So, y equals sine x. So, kung makikita natin dun sa kanina, meron tayong circle. So, i-recall nyo sa trigonometry, meron tayong tinatawag na unit circle where mako-compute natin yung sine and cosine ng mga different angles. So, basically, pag yung sine, ay ginawa natin siyang graph natin yung function ng sine, ganito yung tsura niya. So, nag-oscillate siya, meaning, yung values niya ay ulit-ulit lang from -1 to 1. Okay, so for example, kapag sine 0, we have 0, then we have sine 90 degrees, which is pi over 2 radians. We have 1. So dito, ang scale natin ay nasa degrees. Okay, yung dito. So about pi over 2 radians. So, i-convert niya siya sa degrees. Okay, so, ito yung itsura ng isang sine curve. So, si cosine curve, since complement lang siya ng sine, actually dito sa mga pagitan, nandyan yung graph ni cosine. Pero hindi tayo masyadong mag-go into detail sa mga concepts nito because we are interested in its history muna. Okay? So, paano na-develop yung concepts nila. Okay? So, hindi tayo mag-go into detail kung paano mag-solve ng mga sine, cosine, and so on. Pinakita lang natin dito yung development nila. Okay? Next, we have complex numbers. Again, we will not solve equations involving complex numbers. We just want to know ano yung development and history nila. Okay? Since yung complex numbers is matatakal natin siya sa higher mathematics courses natin. Okay? So, paano na nga ba nagsimula ang complex numbers? So complex numbers, for example, meron tayong quadratic equation sa algebra. Meron tayong x squared plus 1 equals 0. So, gusto nating isolve yung mga ganitong types ng equations. We want to be able to solve all quadratic equations including this. So, bakit? Diba? Bakit natin gustong isolve itong mga ganitong bagay? So, for one thing, syempre algebra, curious ka siguro kung ano yung solution nito. Meron ba siyang solution or wala? Kung meron man, ano yung solution niya? Ano yung x natin dito? Okay? So during many centuries of the study of algebraic equations, mathematicians thought of them as a means for solving concrete problems. So for example, sinabing a square and 10 things make 39. Okay, so in modern notation, ito ay x squared plus 10x equals 39. So dito, yung square is pictured as a geometric figure. So something na may area. And yung things were its sides. Okay? So sa context na to, parang walang sense kapag negative yung solution kasi hindi ka naman pwede magkaroon ng negative na mga, say, lengths or things. Ganun. Okay? So pag ginamit mo yung quadratic formula, magkakaroon ka ng square root ng isang negative number, which means na yung problem has no solution. Okay? So, isang example ng ganito ay matatagpuan sa libro ni Cardano, The Great Art. Sorry, this is 1545. So he discusses the problem of finding two numbers whose sum is 10 and whose product is 40. So, ang observation niya, wala kang mahahanap na dalawang numbers whose sum is 10 and whose product is 40. Okay? So, kapag ginamit mo yung quadratic formula, ito daw yung makukuha mo. So, 5 plus square root of negative 15 and 5 minus square root of negative 15. Okay? So, kung ito yung gagamitin mong solutions, kaya niya ipakita na yung sum nila ay 10 at yung product nila ay 40. Okay? Pero, since square root of negative number, parang in-ignore niya, dinismiss niya yung mga ganitong bagay kasi sabi niya ay ito daw ay meaningless. In another book, sabi niya, 9 square root of 9 is either positive 3 or negative 3. For plus times a plus or a minus times a minus yields a plus. Therefore, square root of negative 9 is neither positive 3 or negative 3 but is some recondite third sort of thing. Okay? So, may point naman siya dito. So, for example, si Rene Descartes, pinoint out niya na kapag hahanapin mo yung intersection point ng isang circle at ng isang line, kailangan mo mag-solve ng quadratic equation. Kasi so meron kang linear equation dito tapos meron kang quadratic equation. So pag ginamit mo yung quadratic formula, it will lead to a square root of negative number. So exactly when the line does not intersect the circle. Okay? So since imaginary siya, so dito na yung term no, impossible or imaginary solutions. Wala siyang solution. Meaning, pag sinolve natin yung intersection, wala siyang intersection. So, imaginary yung intersection niya. Hindi siya magkakaroon ng point na common dun sa line tsaka dun sa circle. Okay? So, si Cardano na kapag develop siya ng formula for an equation of the form x cubed plus px plus q equals 0. Ito yung formula niya. So, madaming cubics na solve. Pero for some cases, nagkakaroon tayo ng problem. So, for example, yung equation natin is x cubed equals 15x plus 4. So, i-write natin siya as ganitong form. Pag ginamit natin yung formula, we get this solution. Okay. So, based sa experience natin sa quadratics, yung conclusion natin dito is walang real solution dahil meron tayong square root of negative. Pero kung gagamitin natin si x equals 4 dito sa equation natin, si x equals 4 is actually a solution. So meaning, meron tayong real na solution para dito sa equation na to. In fact, itong equation na to, meron tayong tatlo na real roots. Okay? So, yan. So, based dito na napansin ni Cardano tong problem to pero hindi siya sure kung ano yung gagawin dito. So, na-mention niya to sa book niya. So, first, sabi niya, This case needs to be solved using a different method to be described in another book. Okay? So, nag-refer siya ng isang chapter na nagde-describe ng mga tricks or techniques na pwedeng magamit to solve yung mga equations na tulad nun. And second, sabi niya, solving y cube equals 8y plus 3 according to the preceding rule, I obtain 3. Okay? So, pag i-work out natin siya according to the rule, medyo tedious yung computation niya kasi yung computation niya will involve some kind of number like this. Okay? So it was Rafael Bombelli who first proposed a way to solve this new kind of radical. Okay? So instead of ang method niya ganito, instead of talking about 2 plus square root of negative 121 as 2 plus square root of minus 121, he said 2 plus of minus square root of 121. So that plus of minus became code for adding a square root of a negative number. Okay? So yung plus of minus, ito yung term na ginamit niya for a square root of a negative number. Okay? So since 2 plus square root of negative 121 is equal to 2 plus 11 square root of negative 1. So he also referred to this as 2 plus of minus 11. Plus of minus 11. Okay? And meron siyang rules of operation. Sin-explain niya to. Which in modern notation, we use the letter I to denote square root of negative 1. So ito yung plus of minus niya. Okay, si I. So I times I is negative 1 since square root of negative 1 times square root of negative 1, dalawang square roots magka-cancel siya. Mag-multiply yung nasa loob. We have negative 1. Negative I times negative I is negative 1 and I times negative I is 1. Okay? But we should be careful about this. So Bombelli was not really thinking of this as new kinds of radical as numbers. So nagpro-propose, most likely nagpro-propose siya ng mga rules para ma-transform yung mga expressions na ganito into simpler ones. So gamit yung mga rules niya, na-reduce niya yung equation. So yung term natin is na-reduce or na-simplify yung equation into this. So yung equation natin before can be written as this, which is 4, which is yung solution na nakuha natin yung 4. Okay. Yeah. After a half century, so si Girard at si Descartes na find out nila na pag meron kang equation ng degree n, you will have n roots. Okay? So, para malaman natin kung ilan yung roots ng isang equation, titingnan lang natin yung term with the highest degree. So, kung yung degree ng equation natin ay 3, for example, meron tayong tatlong roots. Provided that one allows for true, yung real positive roots, false, and imaginary. So, meron tayong real positive, real negative, and complex roots. Okay? So, yung complex roots natin is yung mga imaginary roots natin. The next step, next na development niya is on the work of Abraham Demoivre. the early 18th century. So yung formula for multiplying two complex numbers is given by this. So yung A plus IB, so ito ay isang complex number. Si A ay yung real part at si B ay yung imaginary part. So kung sino yung kasama ni I, siya yung imaginary part. When we multiply two complex numbers, we will have this. So para lang tayong nagmo-multiply ng binomial. Okay? So ganun lang yung rule ng multiplication for two complex numbers. And if you will notice, very similar siya dun sa formula ng cosine. Cosine x plus y, which is cos cosine sin. Okay? So, magsasama yung dalawang cosine, tapos magsasama yung dalawang sine. Dito, magsasama yung real parts, magsasama yung imaginary parts. Okay? So, yung imaginary part, kung titingnan natin yung formula for sin x plus y, we have sin cos cosine. We have sin x cosine y plus sin y cosine x. Okay? Since sines and cosines are mixed. So yung real and imaginary parts factors. So yung formula ni De Moivre is this, very famous formula siya. Again, magagamit natin siya, may encounter natin siya sa higher math. Pero bibigay lang natin siya dito. So we have that formula and also Euler's formula for complex numbers. Na na-discover niya using calculus. Very famous formula din. So Euler's formula. So dito yung x natin ay radians. Okay? So dyan natin na-develop yung mga formula for complex numbers. So nai-represent natin yung mga complex numbers in the form of trigonometric functions. Okay? So meron pa rin tayong mga problems. For example, si Euler, meron tayong expression dito ng square root of negative 2. So as we all know, square root of negative 2 is an irrational number. Okay? So again, I think sa logic and number theory, meron tayong actual proof ng nagpapakita na square root of negative 2 is irrational. Okay? So the end, square root of 2 is irrational. Okay? So dito, makikita natin na yung isang real radical, so positive square root of 2. Pero since yung mga complex numbers natin ay neither positive nor negative, wala tayong magandang way para piliin kung ano yung square root na gusto natin, yung either yung principal square root or yung hindi. Okay? So ito yung nagiging problem sa mga numbers na katulad nito. Okay? So for example, dito sa solution natin, kung susundan natin yung logic na ni Euler, so yung square root of negative 2 times square root of negative 2 is negative 2. And square root of negative 3 times square root of negative 2 is square root of 6. Pero kung ginamit natin yung method dito, dun sa una, which is multiplying the inside terms, So, mag-join yung square root natin is actually 2. Okay? So, magsasama to. Negative 2 times negative 2, which is 4. And we have square root of 4, which is 2. Now, negative 2 and 2 are not equal. Okay? So, yan yung naging problem natin, especially sa mga expressions na ganito, mga negative sa loob, okay? Mga radicals. So, especially kung yung mga deal natin ay mga irrational numbers, very likely na magkaroon tayo ng mga inconsistent na solutions. Okay? So, kahit gumagamit si Euler ng complex numbers, hindi niya na-resolve yung issue na kung ano ba talaga sila. Okay? So, meron tayong quote sa book, sa isang book niya, na sinasabi niya yung mga expressions na ganito ay imaginary numbers. Sabi niya, such numbers we may truly assert that they are neither nothing, nor greater than nothing, nor less than nothing, which necessarily constitutes them imaginary or impossible. So basically, yung mga complex numbers ay useful fictions, meaning they are imaginary, but they are useful. Okay? So, actually, yun yung tagline natin. Impossible, imaginary, useful. First, impossible kasi, and also imaginary kasi hindi mo siya, hindi siya mag-exist in reality. But they are very useful, although hindi sila nag-exist in reality. Meron silang gamit. Okay? So, titingnan natin tong graph na to. So, nagkaroon tayo ng way para i-represent ang mga imaginary numbers geometrically sa isang plane. So, we have the XY plane. So, similar siya sa Cartesian plane. Ang pinagkaiba lang, yung y-axis natin dito is actually an imaginary axis. Okay? So we use the y-axis to denote the imaginary part of the complex number. So for example, we have the complex number 2 plus 3i, where 2 is the real part and 3 is the imaginary part. So pag i-graph natin siya sa isang xy plane, it's actually the 2, 3, the point 2, 3. And again, yung I, which is the square root of negative 1, it's the point 0, 1. Okay? Since 0 plus I, so 0 plus 1I, which is y equals 1. So, nandito yung I natin. Okay? So, very convenient na nagkaroon tayo ng way para mag-graph ng complex numbers. So, makikita natin na madami tayong basis sa complex numbers. So, bakit sila naghanap ng basis para sa complex numbers? Kasi first and foremost, they are very useful and halos hindi mo maiiwasang gamitin ang complex numbers. Okay? So, ginagamit siya algebra, number theory, even physics, gumagamit tayo ng mga complex numbers, and also calculus. So, meron actually na subject na nagdi-deal for complex numbers, which is complex analysis or complex calculus. So, meron siyang separate na course na puro complex numbers yung mga gagamitin mo. So, yun na Riemann, yun na Weierstrass, ganun. So, very useful yung complex numbers sa both pure and applied mathematics. Okay. So, and so that ends our discussion on sine and cosine and complex numbers. So, to sum up, na-discuss natin yung history and development of the sine and cosine functions. Basically, ginagamit siya for astronomy. Ginagamit natin yung angles to determine positions of stars and planets and other things. And for complex numbers, we have complex or imaginary numbers that are very useful in solving problems or equations kahit nasa lower level mathematics pa lang tayo, like algebra. Nagagamit na natin yung mga complex numbers, and what more sa mga higher and advanced mathematics. So, very useful ang complex numbers sa mga ganun. Okay? So, kung may questions kayo sa discussion or may questions kayo sa exercises, comment lang kayo or message na ako. And thank you for listening, and that's all for this discussion. See you next time. Bye.